when it comes to its overarching ability to support so many different body systems, as well as being a wonderful support for like immune modulation, the mushroom reishi, or the mushroom of immortality, as it was called in traditional Chinese medicine, definitely is at the top of the list. I oftentimes joke around with individuals when we're talking that if you forget everything about mushrooms, just keep your mind on reishi because practically everybody could benefit from using that mushroom alone. In the research that we have been conducting on agarikon with an immunological laboratory called Natural Immune Systems, it is the mushroom so far that we have studied in human peripheral mononuclear blood cells that has the most robust engagement of all of the 4 stages of the human immune response. So when you're wanting your immune system to be working, stronger for you, but again, in that balanced manner where you're getting support of all of the different stages of the immune system, agarikon is a mushroom species that I always highly suggest people consider using and adding into their repertoire of other supplements.
Welcome back, folks, to the Healthy Habit Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Dayan of Healthy Habit Medical Center. And today we've got Host Defense back on the show with Mr. Richard Cividanes here representing Host Defense, the national science educator there at Host Defense. Our first time speaking with Richard, so I'm excited for this one. He has over 25 years involvement with the natural products industry. Richard's experience includes working as a staff member in health food stores and natural food co-ops in New York and Washington State. He ran a natural products demo company in Seattle where he educated consumers on numerous dietary supplement companies and their products, and was a member of a volunteer vegan food cooperative as well. After his time at the Evergreen State College, Richard graduated from Seattle Massage School with the Massage Therapy Certificate. He's been deeply interested in the mind, body, spirit approach to health and healing, and has studied Western herbalism, bodywork, homeopathy, Jungian and Reiki and psychology, as well as plant-based nutrition and cooking. So Richard, thanks for taking the time to come on today, my friend. How are we doing?
Thank you, sir. It's an honor to be here. Very, very pleased for the conversation.
Well, I'm always excited to talk mushrooms. It's a incredibly versatile tool that we have in our natural healing toolbox, really, and you can use them for so many different things. So we want to hear your specific perspective. We've talked with Jerry Angelini, we talked with Tom Dayton and Gina Rivers as well, and now we're excited to talk to you, Richard, and hear your perspective on why mushrooms are valuable for human health and longevity.
Well, yeah, and thanks again for the opportunity. We have a great opportunity, as you mentioned here, with the fungal kingdom. It happens to be the kingdom on planet Earth that is the most pharmacologically active. And so, even in the realm of pharmaceutical medicines, at least 10 of the most lucrative and important medicines that come out of pharmaceutical industry were created from compounds that were isolated in the kingdom of fungi, in yeasts, molds, and in macrofungi like mushrooms. So we as humans have this very long arc of history that goes back thousands of years at least. And we have written clinical historical data in like the traditional Chinese medicine community that goes back over 2,500 years, where they were writing about certain mushroom species in their materia medica. So we know that the use of these natural substances goes back even further than that as a opportunity to support human health and wellness.
Amazing. So right off the bat, what's your favorite mushroom? And we can dive into even more specifics, but what's recently maybe even on your radar that you've been researching lately or experimenting with?
Yeah, that's a hard question for me to isolate down.
There's so
to
many,
just
right?
one, but I really do. When it comes to its overarching ability to support so many different body systems, as well as being a wonderful support for like immune modulation, the mushroom reishi, or the mushroom of immortality, as it was called in traditional Chinese medicine, definitely is at the top of the list. I oftentimes joke around with individuals when we're talking that if you forget everything about mushrooms, just keep your mind on reishi because practically everybody could benefit from using that mushroom alone. It is a mushroom that we know through research has the ability to support brain and neurological health. It has the ability to support respiratory health, digestive system health. It's a wonderful mushroom to consider for supporting the liver. And it is an absolutely marvelous cardiovascular supportive mushroom. All of that being said, it also, as I mentioned, helps with supporting immune modulatory activity in our immune system. And it is considered to be a true adaptogenic mushroom. So it really does help to support our relationship with our stress response and helping to support that really important axis, the hypothalamus pituitary adrenal gland axis as well. So that's a mushroom that's at the top of my list.
Hmm.
There's a few others as well. I don't know where you want to go with the conversation, though, but
Sure. Well, one good question is like, can we use herbs and other supplements with mushrooms, which maybe that can lead us into the mycobotanical line?
yeah, and that too is a place where we have this long historical record of use in ethnomycological, ethno-herbological type of practices where they're combining herbs and mushrooms together into formula. As you mentioned, we have a whole line within our product offering that we call mycobotanicals, and that is each and every one of those products is a combination of multiple herbs and multiple mushrooms together to help support specific body systems. The one that we just recently launched just a few weeks ago is called Mycobotanicals Immune Support. And that's a combination of 5 different mushrooms. It's the reishi, as well as other incredibly supportive immune system mushrooms, turkey tail, agarikon, chaga, and maitake.
Hmm.
And then it's also a blend of acerola cherry, schizandra berry, goji berry, and astragalus root. And so that combination of herbs and mushrooms together can really significantly help to support all of the different stages of the immune response, as well as helping to support significantly our microbiome. And the microbiome is really our primary immune system when it comes to its capabilities of supporting health. So by helping to bolster and support that microbiome within our digestive system, and all of the mushrooms and herbs also having their own specific type of properties that support the different stages of the immune response, it's a wonderful new product, launched right at the right time of the year, so to speak.
And is this the correct one that I pulled up here?
That is the correct one. Yes, that's it.
Amazing. We're looking at the Mycobotanicals Immune Powder, which is brand new. And again, this is combining herbs and mushrooms all together into one formula. It's a powder, right? You don't have this in capsule version. It's just a powder for now.
That's correct, because there are so many different ingredients in it,
Right.
and making sure that we're keeping a really good serving size of each of the mushrooms and the herbs. To put it into capsules, you'd have to take so many capsules. A serving is only one rounded teaspoon, and that can be mixed into any kind of beverage. When I got samples of this product just recently, I was just mixing it right into water. It has that schizandra berry in it that has really is a combination of all 5 of the different flavors in one. So it's quite a robust flavored powder because of, I believe, that schizandra berry. But just mixing it into my water in the morning, that first cup of water that I drank after brushing my teeth, I really was enjoying the use of it over the month that I used the sample that I had.
Amazing. And you could even get a little bit of liver benefits as well through the astragalus and the schizandra in there as well.
Most
So you could have easily even called it a liver formula, but this is going to be powerful for the immune system. You want to elaborate a bit more on astragalus? So it's a powerful old school herb.
That is a powerful old school herb, and just to make mention of your comment on the liver, some of the herbs in there most certainly supporting liver, but also the chaga, reishi, and turkey tail are 3 mushrooms that have some significant research on their ability to support liver
Right.
cell health, as well as both the phase 1 and phase 2 liver detoxification pathways as well. And that astragalus root, that again, like many of these herbs and mushrooms, has a long arc of history of use. It's a wonderful herb root to utilize to support and bolster the immune system. It too has real profound benefits in supporting the microbiome simultaneously as well. And when we're looking at that capability and an opportunity to support the immune system, having that multi-pronged approach, if you will, where you're supporting not only the primary immune system, a la the microbiome that exists
Right.
within the digestive system. But then the other stages of the immune response is where you have, in my belief, the best opportunity for a balanced support, which is where you're going to get the most opportunity.
And again, folks, this is the brand new Mycobotanicals Immune, which combines a unique blend of immune supporting mushroom mycelium and herbs. Targeted support to boost and maintain optimal immune function. Used daily for best results. You can use it as a preventative, right? You don't have to wait till you get sick, right, Richard?
Yeah, I think that's a great way to approach it. Especially in those moments of the year or your own personal experience where you're being challenged. Being getting setting yourself up for success prior to the types of engagements that can happen. I think is always a great way to go about it, because then you are knowing that even when you're wanting your immune system to be working for you, it is there in a balanced state. It's ready to optimize its opportunity to bring you back into balance as quickly and painlessly as possible.
Right, and I'm pulling up a picture here of a Garicon mushroom. Tell us, this is what the top one in the form, like it was number one on the list there, probably in alphabetical order, but regardless, it was first in the list there. And here we got Mr. Paul Stamets holding a Garicon mushroom. Tell us a bit more, because a lot of people have heard of lion's mane and kind of reishi, maybe some cordyceps and chaga. Tell us a bit more about a Garicon mushroom.
Yeah, certainly. Well, this one is a species that really in our offerings of all of the different mushrooms, it still is a kind of a sleeper species. Not a lot of people are
Right.
aware of its potentiality. This is a mushroom that we have been deeply studying, and over many, many years. Paul and the group of mycologists and folks around him have been collecting different specimens from nature, where most of the time they just take a core sample from the mushroom so that they're able to leave it intact in the ecosystem.
Yeah.
Traditionally, this was a mushroom that was used by the native nations in the Pacific Northwest, as well as some areas in the European continent utilized it as well. It's written in Materia Medicas that go back to the 4th century. In the research that we have been conducting on agarikon with an immunological laboratory called Natural Immune Systems, it is the mushroom so far that we have studied in human peripheral mononuclear blood cells that
Wow.
has had the most robust engagement of all of the 4 stages of the human immune response. So when you're wanting your immune system to be working, stronger for you, but again in that balanced manner where you're getting support of all of the different stages of the immune system, agarikon is a mushroom species that I always highly suggest people consider using and adding into their repertoire of other supplements, whether those be other mushroom supplements or herbs, because it really does have a powerful opportunity to support the immune system. But again, in that balanced manner where it's helping you move through the first 2 stages, which could be considered more of the inflammatory side of the immune system, where you
Right.
have engagement and recruitment happening, but then also in that clearance and resolution immune modulatory side, where the immune system is working to come back to that state of alert, watchful waiting. And agarikon robustly supports all of those different stages across the board. This is what we have seen in the human blood research that's been done on it.
What a phenomenal explanation, Richard. Thank you for that. I mean, look at this thing. What an interesting looking mushroom. It's not what people think typical mushrooms will look like, with that cap on it, and the stem.
Absolutely.
And look
Yeah,
at
that's
that,
they're
phenomenal.
very slow growing mushrooms. They grow very slowly, and year over year they build upon themselves. So those samples that Paul is holding there in that photograph, I don't know exactly the age, but they're definitely older mushrooms. And they come to us. People find them when they're logging trees, when they're people are doing work in the ecosystem. Sometimes they find them, and Paul has taken this mushroom on as a real focused project for again collecting as many different specimens, strains out of the ecosystems as possible, in hopes of finding like a super strain of agarikon at some point.
And what is that exactly? Is that the mycelium part? What part of that agarikon mushroom are we looking at here?
That right there is the fruit body.
The fruit
You
body.
know, like it has a slightly similar look to chaga.
Okay.
Now, when you're looking at chaga out of the ecosystems, what's used for supporting human health and wellness is mushroom mycelium, and it's oftentimes misidentified as a fruit body. But that is the fruit body of the agarikon.
Got it.
You can see the lower growth there, the lighter colored bands are the newer growth that's occurring. And You know, one of the things that for us as a company that's very mycelium forward, even though we do grow mushroom fruit bodies and we put them into many of our liquid extracts,
Yeah.
the mycelium is where we know there is also a lot of potential for support of the immune system and different organ systems as well. And something that's really unknown to a lot of individuals, where people kind of get into this conversation of like, well, fruit bodies are better than mycelium or vice versa. Something that a lot of individuals don't understand is that the fruit bodies themselves are literally made from mycelial cells. The mushroom
Mm.
mycelium builds and grows the fruit bodies right out of its own cellular network itself. And when you look at a fruit body of a mushroom under a microscope, what you really see are individual hyphal cells. And those are the types of cells that grow mycelium. And then the mycelium goes on to actually build and grow those fruit bodies. So it's you know, you could think of it in terms of it being like two sides of the same organism expressing in a different process of its life cycle. But that there is the true fruit body. Spores would be released out of the pores on the bottom
Wow.
of that mushroom. Yeah.
One of my life goals, Richard, is to get one of these mushroom hats here that Paul's wearing. And it's made out of mushrooms. Is that correct?
It is made out of mushrooms. Yes, absolutely. It's a traditional way of producing felts, using the mushroom fruit bodies that are then mixed and heated, I believe, in water and ash, and that
Wow.
helps to delaminate the cells of the fruit body, and then they go on to produce these beautiful felted materials that they can then make hats or vests and other clothing out of.
Unbelievable. So, what can't they do, right? You can even make hats and clothes out of mushrooms and protect your immune system. And by the way, we have even a standalone agarikon here through Host Defense Mushrooms if you wanted to experiment with just straight up agarikon. When would one want to consider doing this, Richard, instead of that immune powder blend that we
That
looked at over here?
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, so the agarikon is one of the five mushrooms that's in that blend. The agarikon standalone, you know, that again could be utilized by a person. Let's say if an individual regularly is taking like their reishi and their milk thistle seed extract and their echinacea, but then again they're hitting a place where they really want to support their immune system with a little bit more focus and intention. You
Right.
can add that standalone agarikon into the blend. It's something that, like, again, this is just my own personal experience using these mushrooms. But if and when I start feeling like I'm getting challenged, I always pivot to agarikon, and I start using that on a daily basis, usually a couple of times a day. And I go right for the individual agarikon because I'm able to get it in the highest milligram amount with a couple of capsules worth. And then just I add it right into the other supplements that I utilize for myself in the day.
And I think all the new labels look like this one now. I think this is the old label, or what's the difference here?
That's correct. That is an older
Got it.
label. Yes, the one that you were looking at early, just with the white background.
Yes.
That's the newer label.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you come into the store, we have our full setup here at Healthy Habit Health Foods, folks, in the Host Defense Mushroom section with all the different capsules, liquid tinctures, as well as the powder options here at Healthy Habit Health Foods. And just ask one of our amazing staff to help you guys pick the right one. I always like starting with a blend of mushrooms because they all bring something unique to the table, right? The commonality is that they're all going to be helping the immune system, correct? But then they all bring something individually unique to the table, like chaga with that superoxide dismutase. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah, and I think that's a beautiful way to consider utilizing mushroom species. You know, we know from at least some preliminary research that was published back in the a number of years ago in the International Journal of Medicinal Mushrooms. A research laboratory in Japan did research on our Stamets 7 formula. So that's an equal part of seven different mushroom species. And they were studying in human blood cells, and what they found was they did a really unique thing in the study. They tested each of the seven mushrooms individually, and then they averaged them all together, and then they studied the Stamets 7 in combination, all 7 mushrooms together.
Wow.
And what they found was that there was a synergistic amplification of action that occurred in helping to support the engagement of a number of different immune system cells with the use of the 7 mushrooms in combination. And that was their conclusion, was that using multiple species
Wow.
together, because each species contains its own unique polysaccharides or complex sugars and sterols and terpenes and lipids and all of these other combinations of individual of compounds that are found in each of the mushrooms, that there is this amplification of action that can occur when you're utilizing multiple species together. And as you mentioned, of all of the beneficial mushrooms that I'm aware of that have been studied in research over the last 50 plus years, all of the mushrooms help to support human immune response in some way. So even mushrooms like your shiitakes and oysters and inokatake, lion's mane, more of you can find them in your culinary gourmet produce sections, but they are also beneficial mushrooms that could be considered being utilized on a regular basis in your diet, just to help support your body through the introduction of more of that mushroom material. So I'm always a person who really, advocates for not only considering using mushroom supplements especially when we know that they're being, grown in the United States under controlled conditions, but also considering using them in your diet on a regular basis. There's some really fantastic analysis of populations that show that when people consume mushrooms on a regular basis, they trend towards having better health outcomes over time. So that's something to consider as well, as just adding them into your meals as well as into your supplementation.
Okay. Yeah. This is going to help a lot of people, this episode here with Richard Cividanes, National Science Educator here at Host Defense Mushrooms. And if you're taking notes, folks, Richard just mentioned the Stamets 7, named after Paul Stamets, founder of Host Defense. That's STAM as in Matthew, ETS, 7. And we have that right here at Healthy Habit Health Foods. If you want to get started on your mushroom journey, that's a good solid blend, which you mentioned has actually been researched and published in an actual medical journal. Is that right?
That is correct. Yep, it was that research was published in the International Journal of Medicinal Mushrooms.
Wow.
We've had the great opportunity as a company, to have our mushroom mycelium and the fermented substrate tested and studied by a number of independent researchers in Japan, the United Kingdom, University of Minnesota, and Bastyr University did a human clinical trial using our turkey tail. We have teamed up with that immunological laboratory I mentioned earlier. And the one consistent thing that occurs in all of the published research on the mycelium and the fermented rice substrate is that we see significant support of various stages of the human immune response, engagement of a host of different innate and adaptive immune system cells, and a range of other molecules being expressed in those immune system cells. So it's really exciting that the research is something that's ongoing. Paul and the company employ a really robust research team. There are 11, I believe, researchers. At least 5 of those individuals are PhD doctors, 6
Right.
other scientists that are working full-time studying a range of different applications of mushrooms in human and planetary health. They're also even doing off-planet research. They've been doing
Wow.
research connected to NASA, looking for which mushroom species will be able to most efficiently digest asteroid minerals and convert them into soils for deep space exploration.
Wow.
Because obviously we're going to have to feed astronauts when they are going into deep space, and we can't do that without soil. And here on planet Earth, mushrooms build our topsoils. And so that's another research piece that our research team is looking at. But they're a really robust team. They have published over 77 peer-reviewed journal articles in different science journals detailing all of the research that's happening at the Fungi Perfecti Research Lab.
Unbelievable. And for all the research nerds out there, we have literally an international journal of medicinal mushrooms. That's fascinating. The editor-in-chief there, Solomon Wasser. And the rapid growth of interest in medicinal mushrooms is part of the reason why this even exists. It's being studied all across the world. Medicinal mushrooms, including systematics, nomenclature, taxonomy, morphology, medicinal value, and much more there. Biotech. and you can go deep down the rabbit hole on medicinal mushrooms here, and you can see the most downloaded articles. If you just Google International Journal of Medicinal Mushrooms, you can start reading about them and how they're being put to use in the research. So this
You know, there's
proves their use. Go ahead, Richard.
Yeah, thank you. Now, there's another website too, since you're looking at websites, not that you need to go to it now, but just to
Sure.
inform your listeners. It's called mushroomreferences.com.
Okay.
And that is a website that kind of collects research data on different species. So you see the species on the left-hand side there. If you checked on one of them, like agarikon, for instance, it's going to bring you to a bibliography
Oh, wow.
of all different research that's published on that species that's specific to human health, because it can get a little bit confusing when you're on PubMed or Scholar.Google
Absolutely.
searching for research, because there's so much out there in different realms. And this is a way to like kind of focus in a little bit more on aspects of human health and wellness in relation to all of those different species and or different keywords like microbiome and the like. So this is a wonderful reference tool for anybody who likes to kind of go down those rabbit holes, find information that's more relevant to the published research, other than just looking at the opinion articles and blog types of
Right.
things that you'll find online
This is
sometimes.
a great. Thank you very much for mentioning this. Mushroomreferences.com. I'll definitely be frequenting this one when I'm producing content online, even, or sharing it with patients. Really, really good. People love and appreciate sources like this, Richard. So thanks again. Mushroomreferences.com. Coming into the tail end here, about a minute or so, give us a little recap there today. I could talk to you for an hour about mushrooms, my friend. So, first time talking here with Richard Cividanes, representing Host Defense Mushrooms. Give us a little recap from today's interview.
Sure, and thank you again. The opportunity is wonderful. I really appreciate the time. So, recap is consider using mushrooms to support health and wellness. Mushrooms can help to support immune system as well as multiple body systems simultaneously. We talked about the reishi. That mushroom checks off practically every type of structure function box in the body. We talked about agarikon, a great mushroom to consider for immune system support health. From the host defense line, you find agarikon as a standalone species. It's also in that new Mycobotanicals immune powder. It's also one of the 5 polypore mushrooms that we put into our MycoShield immune sprays, which is a spray that you spray into your mouth and then swallow to help support what we call the mucosal associated lymphatic tissue. And agarikon is found in that extract as well. So those are places where you find that species if that's of interest to you.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Richard, for your time. People are going to appreciate this one, that's for sure. We crammed about as much as we could there in that 27 minutes or so. So thanks again for coming on.
I very much appreciate the time. Have a great remainder of your day.